Welcome to the Rugby Obsession Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're getting into something pretty huge, a really big topic in world rugby. The future, basically, of the British and Irish Lions tours.
Yeah, the legendary Lions.
Exactly. We've been looking at this really fascinating article. It features insights from, well, a proper Lions legend. And honestly, what he's suggesting, it's going to get people talking.
For sure.
So our mission today, let's really try and unpack his surprising idea, explore the, let's face it, really complex world of international rugby right now, and figure out what it all means for this tradition we all love.
It's a chat we definitely need to have, especially with how the game's changing globally. I mean, the Lions tour, for so many fans, it's just the absolute pinnacle.
It really is.
That mix of history, the sheer skill, and, four nations coming together against the best down south. That whole mystique, that's the magic.
And that magic, that mystique, that's exactly why this matters so much, isn't it? We've all heard those crowds, seen the red wave, the epic moments that just stick in your mind.
Oh, yeah.
But lately, you can feel this, I don't know, this undercurrent of worry, especially around the current 2025 tour. It's making people ask, where do the Lions go from here? What's the actual future? If you're as obsessed with rugby as we are, and you want to keep up with these, well, vital discussions, make sure you hit subscribe on Rugby Obsession for all our deep dives.
So let's set the scene a bit. We are right now in the middle of the Lions 2025 tour to Australia. There's always excitement, obviously, but the source we're looking at, this piece featuring Brian Moore, it doesn't really pull any punches about the opposition.
No, it really isn't. The article is pretty blunt, actually. It talks about underwhelming opposition, specifically calls out the low-ebb Wallabies, notes they were, well, comfortably defeated in that first test.
Yeah, that was quite a scoreline.
And it's not just the test side, is it? There's a strong feeling that the low standard of Australia's Super Rugby teams that's been roundly criticized, too, as, like, preparation for the big games.
Right. Not ideal prep.
You can sort of feel the vibe around the tour, can't you? Even with the Lions players, like Jamie George, coming off that big win in Melbourne just the other day.
And what's really interesting is how this perceived dip from Australia has sparked a pretty, radical thought about where the Lions might go next.
From Brian Moore, yeah.
Yeah.
Instantly recognizable name. Ex-England hooker. Won the series against the Wallabies back in '89.
Knows his stuff. He absolutely understands winning down there. And he's put forward a destination for a future tour that is genuinely surprising.
Okay, this is where it gets really fascinating. Moore is suggesting for the 2037 tour, get this, the U.S. Eagles.
Wow. Yeah.
It definitely makes you stop and think, doesn't it? His thinking is, well, maybe a big change is needed, given the issues or perceived issues with the usual spots. We know the Lions have that set 12-year cycle, right? Australia this year, then New Zealand in 2029, South Africa in 2033. So Moore's looking like way down the track, thinking long term.
Yeah, he is. And he actually writes, I think it's in the Telegraph, that the U.S. would be ideal if they could deliver long hoped for standards. But then he adds, crucially, none of this is straightforward. Okay. And that's really the heart of it. It's not just wishful thinking. He sees the massive hurdles involved.
That's a really important qualifier, isn't it? If Moore himself admits the risks, asking point blank, what if you commit to it and improvements do not come? What are the specific problems you see? He says many factors work against the U.S. vision, and he doesn't see them getting fixed soon. What factors are we talking about?
Well, it's complicated. First off, U.S. rugby, okay, it's growing, but it just doesn't have that deep-rooted professional setup, the player pipelines you see elsewhere.
Right, compared to the big sports there.
Exactly. Trying to get top athletes when they've got the NFL, NBA, baseball, it's a constant fight. Then there's the sheer money needed to build a proper high-level domestic league that actually develops talent properly. And look, fan interest is growing, sure, but is it enough to fill massive stadiums for a whole Lions tour consistently? Probably not yet, without some serious, sustained growth spurt for the sport.
So Moore's worry is real. You can hope for growth, but guaranteeing they'll be good enough to challenge the Lions by 2037, that's a huge gamble.
It is a massive leap of faith.
And connecting this back, it really shows that tricky balance, doesn't it? Between growing the game globally and keeping that fierce top-level competition that makes the Lions tour what it is.
Definitely.
South Africa, New Zealand. They're almost certainly staying as premier touring destinations. The history, the fans, they consistently perform.
Yeah, they're nailed on.
But Moore's worry about Australia. You can really feel it. What if things go backwards, he asks. Like, what if their place at the top table starts to slip even more?
And that's not just about the sport, it's about the business side too. A Lions Tour needs those nail-biting competitive tests. If one of the main hosts can't reliably provide that, well, the whole appeal, the money, could start to drop off.
So it forces that question. When does tradition maybe have to bend to the need for genuinely good, close rugby matches?
Exactly.
What about other places then? Like France? Seems logical, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
But Moore calls that idea misguided, says it'd just be too much like the Six Nations. Same players, basically.
Yeah, his point is it lacks that unique Lions feel of facing, unfamiliar Southern Hemisphere guys.
Okay, but playing devil's advocate, are there stronger arguments for France? Even if Moore doesn't buy them, could it still be a unique Lions thing despite the overlap?
That's a fair question. I mean, while Moore's Six Nations point is valid, you could argue France would generate huge money, massive fan buzz, especially after the World Cup there.
Right, the atmosphere would be incredible.
Totally. French fans, their club culture, it would be different, definitely formidable. And yeah, lots of familiar faces, but the Lions brand, that combined strength, it's still a big draw, different from just another tournament. But, Moore's core point about the novelty factor is strong. That's key to the Lions' appeal.
It also boils down, like you said, to the money. The commercial side. Moore mentions touring the Pacific Islands or Argentina. Good for the game's image, he says. Helps those nations out.
Which it would be, yeah.
Commercially challenging, he's blunt. The Lions, now, are about making money. So what are the specific money hurdles there? Why aren't they viable, even if it looks good for rugby?
It's really about scale and established markets. Lions tours need huge stadiums, top-end hospitality, big TV deals to make the sums work.
Right.
And while places like Fiji or Argentina have amazing, passionate fans, their stadiums often aren't big enough, and the local economy might struggle to support the ticket prices, the hotels, everything needed for that massive touring group.
Oh, okay.
The Lions bring in vital cash for the 4 home unions, you see. That income's essential. So, yeah, the image matters, but the making money part, that's non-negotiable if the tour's going to continue like it is. It's a tough balancing act, preserving the magic, but, well, keeping the lights on.
So where does all this leave us in the wider rugby world? Moore brings up this idea, the R360 professional circus, he calls it. Says it's imminent. That sounds pretty disruptive. What exactly is R360?
Right, R360. It's basically a plan for a radical shakeup of the global rugby calendar. Think like a more joined-up World League system. Maybe a World Club Championship or a Nations Championship happening more often.
Okay.
The idea is to streamline when international games happen, create more regular high-stakes matches all year round, not just in the old test windows. People like Mike Tyndall, yeah, they're involved in pushing for this kind of Rebel League idea, a more globally integrated schedule.
More money, more fans.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Maximize commercial income, keep fans engaged by having the best players playing each other more often.
And here's the kicker, Moore's big question about R360's impact. Where do the Lions fit in a rugby world that might see all its top players playing against each other 16 times a year? This isn't just about finding space in the diary.
It's fundamental.
It challenges the whole point of the Lions, that core idea. The mystique comes from it being rare, novel. If the best players are banging heads constantly in other comps, does the once in 4 years Lions Tour just become another game?
Exactly. It risks losing its specialness, its commercial edge, its emotional pull. What happens when Lions players are up against guys who are their regular teammates or adversaries in these new world leagues?
It dilutes the whole thing.
Totally. The essence of the Lions is that unique gathering facing unfamiliar elite teams from down south. If R360 means more regular clashes between the same groups of players, it could really chip away at that special identity. It's a genuine threat, much more than just a scheduling problem.
Wow, that is a huge thing to think about. If that rarity disappears, the whole dynamic changes. And look, if you're finding this deep dive as gripping as we are, and you want to stay on top of these massive shifts in rugby, do remember to subscribe to Rugby Obsession.
Definitely worth keeping an eye on.
Okay, let's pull back to the present for a minute. The current tour, Australia. Series continues in Melbourne this Saturday, wraps up in Sydney on August 2nd. Even with all this future talk, Moore's got some pretty sharp tactical points on the here and now.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely watching closely. He predicts the Wallabies will get better. They usually do in a series. But, importantly, he thinks the Lions should improve, too.
Right.
He flags specific things from Test 1 that need fixing, Like the Lions line out, set it malfunctions sometimes, and they're finishing a bit of inaccuracy around try-scoring chances, things they can tighten up, not huge underlying problems.
But the stat he called most telling from that first test, Lions making around twice as much ground after contact as the Aussies.
Yeah.
Can you break that down? What does that actually mean in terms of the game?
That's a brilliant stat. It speaks volumes about the physical edge the Lions had. Basically, when a Lion got tackled, he wasn't just stopped dead. He was consistently powering through the tackle, driving forward, getting extra yards after that first hit. So the effect is huge. It means the Lions' rucks were always moving forward, always putting the Aussie defense under constant pressure. Every single tackle, the Wallabies are scrambling backwards, trying to reset, working harder and harder, while the Lions are just chewing up ground, building momentum. It shows a real physical dominance, a serious struggle for the Aussie defense just to hold the line.
And that links into another big advantage Moore pointed out, the bench.
Yeah, the finisher.
He said the Lions bench is far more experienced and talented than anything the Aussies can summon. That depth, late in a game, that's huge, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely massive in modern rugby. Having those top quality impact subs, it can completely change the game in that last 20 minutes. Lets you lift the pace, exploit tired defenders, often decides tight test matches.
Brian Moore, he's clearly still right in the thick of rugby analysis, isn't he? Always has an interesting take. We've seen other stuff from him recently, his thoughts after England lost to Argentina, defending Henry Pollock, even talking about his own old training ground tricks to keep his Lions jersey.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't hold back. Always worth reading his stuff. He's a consistent voice, for sure. And it's clear these big picture chats, where the game's going, the money, the tactics, they're just so important for rugby's future, its appeal around the world.
Right, so let's try and wrap up this rugby obsession deep dive. It's crystal clear, isn't it? The future of the Lions tour. It's not set in stone. It's changing, facing these really surprising ideas like the U.S. tour, plus all these tricky commercial things and sporting questions. These aren't just, pub chats. They're crucial discussions for how the sport grows, stays popular globally, and keeps hold of its most special traditions.
Absolutely. The whole international rugby scene is shifting and fast. Big, iconic things like the Lions tour, they have to adapt, they have to innovate, think smart about their future, but without losing that core magic that fans love.
So here's something for you, our listener, to think about as we finish up. With all these challenges and possibilities, we've talked through that wild U.S. Eagles idea, the money realities, the potential disruption from R360. Where do you think the Lions should tour next? Or maybe, what changes would you make to how international rugby works to keep it fresh, keep it exciting, keep it relevant for the future?
Yeah, we'd genuinely love to hear what you reckon. Drop your thoughts in the comments where you're listening, or, find us on social media. Let us know. Your ideas are really valuable as we keep doing these deep dives.
Yeah, definitely let us know. And remember, for more deep dives like this one, make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession.
Please do.
Thanks so much for tuning into this Rugby Obsession deep dive, and we'll look forward to you listening to our next episode.